Regular meeting number 57 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Page, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Monsignor Cody.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, we have gathered here this evening to ask your blessings on the members of Columbus City Council, as well as all the citizens of our great city. As we begin the first days of the month of December, be with us as we prepare for this joyous holiday season, a time for family and renewing acquaintances. May it also be a time of reconciliation and mutual forgiveness as we face the crises in our world and in our nation. You alone, good God, are the source of love and peace. May the coldness of the weather not discourage us, but may it warm our hearts with desire to reach out to the poor, the elderly, and the forgotten during this holy season. Be with us, Lord God, and hear our prayer tonight. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monsignor. Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
At the outset of the meeting, I'd like to recognize it has come to my attention that a former council colleague of some time ago has passed away, Jim Bauman, who has served on Columbus City Council and appears to have a very distinguished public service career in the United States Army, the Ohio House of Representatives, and the Ohio Environmental Review Board. Certainly like to recognize him and his service to the city of Columbus on his passing. Also, just a friendly reminder that any person who takes any action to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code, Section 23-1712. And any person who enters those areas of City Council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code, Section 23-1121. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda to be published in the city bulletin. Clerk, are there any other recommendations or communications to be read
sir.
on the record? None?
Not at this time.
How about resolutions from members of council? Councilmember Elizabeth Brown.
Thank you, President Klein. Yes, tonight I have one resolution. I'd like to invite to the podium Dr. J. Daniel Good. I have resolution 0328X-2017 to commend and thank Dr. J. Daniel Good for his outstanding service to the City of Columbus as the Superintendent of Columbus City Schools. Dr. Good was appointed to serve as Superintendent of Columbus City Schools in 2013. He had extensive experience in public education prior to joining CCS as a teacher and principal with the Ohio Department of Education and as the Superintendent of Worcester City Schools and Westerville City Schools. He put that experience to good use, no pun intended, during his time with CCS, where the percentage of students who met the third grade reading guarantee more than doubled to greater than 90%. The number of available high-quality pre-kindergarten seats increased by 22%. The number of college credits students earned while still in high school more than tripled. And career technical education expanded significantly, with nearly 1/3 of high school juniors and seniors taking courses in highly skilled, in-demand job sectors. In these areas and others, Columbus City Schools has shown steady improvement during Dr. Dan Good's tenure, and he leaves a solid foundation to continue building upon as the district seeks to fulfill its mission to provide the highest quality education. Dr. Good, thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for your service to Columbus and our students and our families at CCS. We not only wish you the best in your retirement and whatever comes next to you, but we know that we'll owe you a debt of gratitude for a long time. I personally have enjoyed being able to work with you in the incredible partnership with the city schools and how you've helped chart a course for what the future can look like. So thank you. Before I move for adoption, is there anything that my colleagues would like to add? All right. I move for adoption.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Great. Dr. Good, the podium is yours.
Thank you, and thank you, President Klein, Councilmember Brown, members of the City Council, and Elizabeth. I think it's easy to be gracious when you beat me in the spelling bee, so. But I do thank you all for this honor, although I feel I'm really quite undeserving of this recognition, and that's because this journey that began 54 months ago was never about me, but it was about how we together could restore the integrity and public faith in our school system. And as you know firsthand, it was not easy. It took time, lots of tough conversations, innovative thoughts and breaks from the past, and a resilience against the noise and clutter of those who simply wanted to point to and discuss instead of taking action on issues. So tonight I'm able to stand here with deep assurance and certitude in saying that the community's confidence in Columbus City Schools is restored. Not only have we rebuilt the integrity of our data systems and created a new culture of transparency and trust, we've also, as you indicated, increased access to high-quality pre-kindergarten experiences by 22%. As you said, more than doubled the percentage of third graders promotable to fourth grade 4 years in a row. We've better served the needs of students with limited English proficiency and special needs, and we have more of those students than any other district in the state. We've eliminated the achievement gaps in 26 of our schools that historically separated students of different genders, races, and poverty levels. We opened the city's first gifted academy for students with superior cognitive skills and talent. We transformed career technical education with the help of local businesses and labor so that more students graduate with those in-demand career skills and oftentimes with jobs actually in hand. We've grown the number of high school seniors who graduate and helped those graduates afford to go to college, with the class of 2017 earning a record-breaking $72 million in scholarships and grants. And thanks to the overwhelming voter support last fall, we've added more staff and resources to better address the social and emotional challenges students often bring from home. And we've begun tackling a multi-million-dollar backlog of building maintenance and repairs. But perhaps one of the most impactful outcomes of these last 54 months is how we changed the dialogue about the best ways to empower our community's children for success. First, there's a realization that no one can do this alone. Those past excuses which said children are the school's responsibility have been replaced by local businesses and national organizations, neighborhood groups, and faith-based volunteers, and this very city council and our public and our nonprofit partners, all now asking, how can we help? So I'm most appreciative of the dedication to our mentoring program, in which data has revealed that when off-track high school seniors at risk of failing to graduate were paired with some of you, caring and dedicated adult mentors, those students had a 75% better chance of earning their diplomas. 75%, that's significant for our city. And so I thank all of you that have stepped up to become mentors. And second, we've all come to realize that the best way to help our students is to help their families. If we want our young students to be safe, if we want them to learn and grow, if we want them to stay on pathways toward good jobs and successful lives, then we must start by tackling the challenges their families are facing at home and in their neighborhoods right now, today. So I urge this City Council, as you make future investments and join in our mission of education, to never forget about the families. I'm so very proud of the work that's been accomplished in our district, the families who've been better served in every neighborhood, the social, emotional, and health needs of our students that we are now better able to address, the partnerships we've built, and most of all, the empowerment and the spirit of success that have been instilled in our young people that will last far beyond today and far beyond my time. It's not about me. It's about those 52,000 students, their families, and our future, Columbus's own protégés, our children. And I thank you for this recognition.
Thank you, President Klein. This evening, I don't have a resolution, but I would like to introduce or ask the 8th graders from Wedgwood Middle School to come forward, please. So several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go out and meet with these 8th grade ambassadors from Wedgwood Middle School under the leadership of Principal Campbell. I was very impressed with the way they articulated the challenges, but also the opportunities that they face and their leadership that they've shown. And so this afternoon, we've had an opportunity to have some conversations with council members and directors. Come on around and you can follow to kind of come on down. But I asked them to come and just introduce themselves and to kind of talk about some of the things that we were speaking about, and then I'll have Director Carla Williams-Scott talk about really our strategy to make sure these young folks feel supported and folks in the community know that council and the administration are there, supportive, listening, and acting. So first, Principal Campbell.
Good evening. I am Diane Campbell, very proud principal at Wedgwood Middle School, and this is my second school year with Wedgwood.
I'm Farouk Voy. I've been at Wedgwood for 3 years, and I'm the head spokesman of the Wedgwood Ambassadors. And we just finished talking about how to get resources to not just Wedgwood Middle School, but to the community so that the families could get what they need to have.
Hi, good evening. My name is Elizabeth Ramos, and I've been at Wedgwood for 2 years, and I am code facilitator of the ambassadors.
Hi, my name is Allison Murphy-Smock. I've been at Wedgwood for 3 years, and I am the recorder, so I take notes for all of our meetings.
Hi, my name is Sharif. I am a student from Wedgwood Middle School. I've been there for 3 years.
Hi, my name is Tyler Lombard, and I've been at Wedgwood 3 years, and I run under Farouk's team, under the emergency team.
Hello, my name is Cameron Wingo, and I do not have a job with the ambassadors team yet.
Good evening. My name is Hamdi Osman, and I'm a process checker, and I've been at Wedgwood for 3 years.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nadi Mohammed. I've been a student at Wedgwood Middle School for 3 years. I still don't have a role for the ambassadors yet.
Hi, my name is Rakia Abdallah. I've been at Wedgwood for 3 years. I don't have a job.
Hello, I'm Gustavo Jordan Flores. I've been at Wedgwood Middle School for 3 years, and I help them keep on track.
Hi, I'm Tony Segi. I'm the guidance counselor at Wedgwood, and I've been there for 18 years, and I think we've got the best staff in the city and a wonderful principal and great students. Thank you.
Thank you all. This group is really, really impressive, articulate group. I wanted Director William Scott to kind of speak quickly about our Wedgwood strategy and also to acknowledge the work of, this is a comprehensive community strategy. Every council member, the mayors, community leaders have weighed in. I want to thank Mr. Jay McAllister for his work in this space and really supporting, lifting up the folks in Wedgwood. But Director, could you kind of talk quickly about the strategy for Wedgwood?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Councilmember Harden. Yes, we're working with others in the community on what we're calling a comprehensive Wedgwood strategy that will focus on the students at both Wedgwood Middle School, Eakin Elementary, and the families living in the Wedgwood community. Some of our partners in this effort include, as you mentioned, the Hilltop Area Commission and their Safety Committee, Columbus City Schools, Ethiopian Twedaho Social Services, and My Project USA. And so we're looking to address, like we said, some of the issues and challenges that the students face, but more importantly, also working with some of the challenges that the families in Wedgwood face. So we look forward to being able to come back to you early next year and share with you the progress.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Cinziano.
Just very briefly, since the superintendent is in the building as well, Principal Campbell's just been awesome. I see her at every Hilltop meeting, and to have the student ambassadors here and sharing their concerns, really appreciate that effort they're bringing and wanting to see their neighborhood, their schools, so much more valuable. I appreciate the work of the Department of Neighborhoods have been engaging, and really your leadership, Councilmember Harden, as well. Thank you.
And thank you, Councilmember Cinziano, and really the entire council for the support in sponsoring the Boy Scout program in Wedgwood. Just one of our small investments, but like Director William Scott said, this is a community-wide effort, and we look forward to collaborating with everybody to make sure that every community is safe and everybody, and especially every child, feels safe in their school, but in their neighborhoods. Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you, President Klein. This evening, I have two resolutions, and for my first one, I would like to call Sue Porter, the Executive Director for Ballet Met, to the podium along with her guest. And this resolution, 0317X-2017, to commemorate the 40th season of Ballet Met's The Nutcracker, and to congratulate the company on 4 decades of enriching lives in Central Ohio through the art of dance. And I would just like to share a few facts about Ballet Met. Our own Ballet Met ranks among the nation's 20th largest professional ballet companies, and they have performed in over 28 states and abroad in Canada, Russia, Poland, Spain, and Egypt. Ballet Met is also among the largest United States dance training centers and has served over 30,000 individuals in classrooms and business and civic settings. Lastly, the opening night of the 2017 season of the Nutcracker will begin on Friday, December 8th, and runs until December 24th at the historic Ohio Theater. Are there any additional comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Cinziano.
Just really briefly, one thing that I've really been impressed in all of this week is when they highlight the young people throughout our city that are participating. And while I never was a mouse or in the performance, my sister was, really appreciate just how much this event means for our community, and really just wonderful to see the highlighting of the young people that are participating in the program that are going to help make the performance so special. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments? Seeing none, I move for adoption.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Sue, the floor is now yours.
Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Page, Council President Klein, and the rest of the council members. I am Sue Porter, and I'm proud to be the Executive Director of Ballet Met. And with me, I've brought my friend, the Nutcracker. This is an exciting time of year for Ballet Met. This will be the 40th consecutive year that Ballet Met has performed the Nutcracker in Columbus, and we're very proud of that record. We have 160 students that will participate in the performances over the run, which we are really, really excited to have that. Ballet Met will bring over 26,000 people downtown to see the Nutcracker in the 17 performances at our Scenic Ohio Theater, and we will have the Columbus Symphony play with us. So it's an incredible experience, I think, for those who are coming. You know, we have had a pretty special year this year. In August, we received 4 Emmy Awards for 2 of our dances on film. In this fall, we received the Columbus Makes Art Excellence Award from the Greater Columbus Arts Council. Thank you so much. I know you have great membership on that council. We have also started a new project with the Justice Stores. There is a web series called Finding Clara. They are now in all of their stores and throughout their YouTube channel having a series. It will take 4 of our young dancers and take them through auditions all the way through the performances. So we think that will be great exposure, both for Ballet Met and the City of Columbus as we go forward. We are also trying to spread the word about Ballet Met internationally. Our artistic director, Edward Liang, is not here today, and that's because he's in Milan. He is creating a new work which will be the featured performance at the Davos World Economic Forum in Switzerland, and that will open in January. So we are trying to show what we are doing and creating here in Columbus on both the national and international stage, and we feel very lucky to do that. This is, a few examples of what we're trying to do to be a world-class organization based in Columbus, Ohio, and we are proud to be here. We could not do that without your support and this community's support. So thank you. We hope we will see you all at the Nutcracker, again, opening Friday, running through the 24th. Again, we appreciate all you do, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Sue, and the Nutcracker. My second resolution is 0318X-2017 to commemorate Charity Newsies' 110th annual paper sale drive and to commend the organization for over a century of exceptional fundraising for children throughout Franklin County. And I would like to call Pat Conley, the 2017 Charity Newsies Drive Chair, to the podium to accept this honor, as long as all of the volunteers who are here with us. And as you come to the podium, I would like to share a personal story. About 17 years ago, I was one of the young children, along with my brother, who actually received items from Charity Newsies. And I know how much that impacts a family, how much it helped my mom, being a single mother, to be able to have us come, and we got coats and book bags and socks and different things. So just personally, it's definitely an honor to be able to present you with this resolution today and to thank you for all the work that you do for young children throughout our county. Are there any further questions or comments from my colleagues? Well, I would like to now move for adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Denziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And Pat, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Council President Klein, council members, for acknowledging us. I'd like to thank you for inviting us here. It's an honor to be here in your presence. I'm Pat Conley. I'm this year's Drive Chairman, so that's kind of the title you get when you're look to raise a lot of money for this year. So I'm still got another almost month to go, so hoping everything works out well. I'm proud to say that Charity Newsies has been selling our special edition of the now the Columbus Dispatch since 1907. So we have 110 years of history, and we will expect to have about 400 of our Newsy volunteers out on street corners this Saturday, December 9th. We'll be out there. Hopefully the weather is going to be cooperative. If it's not, we're still out there, but probably 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. People can drive by, get their newspaper, say hello. In the history of Newsies, we've clothed over 500,000 children here in Central Ohio with new clothes, shoes, new winter coats. So this year we will clothe over 13,000 children. Our mission, that no child be kept from school due to inadequate clothing, and because of our numerous volunteers and generous sponsors, we've been able to uphold that mission for this number of years. So on behalf of Charity Newsies, myself, our board, our members, I'd like to thank you for recognizing us for this historical legacy that we have.
Again, Pat, if you could introduce those who are with you.
Yes, we have past President Chuck Rundio, past President Sherry Carroll, current Vice President and Assistant Drive Chairman Michael Burrell, and current President Tony Perez.
Again, thank you all so much, and we truly appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
That's all I have, President Klein.
I do not have any resolutions, but I have a couple of one announcement, and I want to just recognize that today Dr. Mashika Williams-Roberts, our new health commissioner, who started on December 1st, is now sitting in the health department's chair and council. Just want to recognize her. Congratulations on your new position, and look forward to working with you as we move forward to improve the health and the lives of the residents of our community. So congratulations and welcome. Also, tomorrow at 4:30, we will have 3 hearings. Starting at 4 o'clock, we'll have the collateral program code change hearing, and then around 4:10, we start the third quarter review for the third quarter review, and then we will have, starting around 4:30, the budget briefing for the 2018 budget. And I also want to extend congratulations to the Pickerington Central Tigers, who won Division I state football championship on Friday evening. Pickerington, which is a part of our city's win-win, is home to a number of Columbus residents. They defeated Mentor 56-28, and this was the first time in recent memory that the all public school final was held in the state Division I finals. Pickerington also set a number of records in the contest, and the 56 points is the largest number of points ever scored in this contest. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Any comments from the Auditor's office, Mr. Dorian? Treasurer's office, the City Attorney's office. Yes, City Attorney.
Mr. President, members of council, normally I don't talk too long. I might take a little bit longer on this one. But there was an election in this city 52 years ago in 1965. At that election, there was a candidate for city auditor, and there were 3 candidates for Columbus City Council. Donnie Woodland was one of those candidates. He died in 1995, and Maury Portman was the other, and he died in 2000. Last year, the 3rd candidate on the ballot that year was Jim Bauman. And the reason I bring up his name, he died last week, and he had his wake over in Kirkersville. Jim Bauman was a person, and this is one of the things I want to say, because I think Dr. Good said that no one can do this alone. We're in politics. And if any of us think that we really are God's gift to the public and we can do things alone, they're mistaken. But let me talk about Jim Bauman for a moment, and I think there's another person in this room who will remember the election in 1965. But when Portman, Bauman, and Woodland won, January 1, 1966 was the first Democratic majority in the Columbus City Council in a long time. And the Democrats have never lost that majority since then. So how does Jim Bauman have anything to do with us today? Well, a couple of things. Because he was on City Council majority, when there was a vacancy in the Auditor's office, someone got appointed to that job and has held it ever since. When I came back from Vietnam and had my first year in law school, I wanted to somehow get involved in politics. And so after the summer of '70, when my wife and I worked for a Ralph Nader group in Washington, I came back and I knew that the Democrats wanted to elect people to the Ohio General Assembly. This is 1970. So I didn't have a mentor. I figured out, well, you got to go to the state party headquarters. I finally went there, and they told me to see somebody who didn't see me the first day. He didn't see me the second day, and when he finally saw me, he said, I suppose you want paid. I said, no, I just want to volunteer. so I did a lot of volunteering, and one of the volunteering things I did in 1970 was write a speech for Jim Bauman. He had run for county auditor primary and lost, and he was running for the state House of Representatives, and he read every word I wrote, which surprised me. But as a result of that contact, when I became a lawyer in the late fall of '72, a job opened up at the Ohio House of Representatives, and I was able to get that job because one of the persons that helped me get it was Jim Bauman. And if you reflect on each of your lives, Jim Bauman really had a say in how you're here because he began that effort that established Democrats as the majority. And I would say to you that we only keep a majority if we demonstrate to the voters that we're worthy of it. And I think for the most part, we've convinced the voters we're worthy of it. But Jim Bauman died, and he's gone on. And I thought it was appropriate that we should recognize the last person on that ticket who in 1965 won and gave this a majority Democrat and in some way affected Mr. Dorian, it affected Rick Pfeiffer, and it's affected you. So I think we should recognize Jim Bauman tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Any members of the judiciary here? I do not see any. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none. May we have a motion to waive reading of titles to 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Is there a second? Is there a second? Thank you. Clerk, will you now read into, I'm sorry, clerk call the roll on the motion.
Brown, Harden, Page, Tenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Now will you read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Finance Committee Ordinance 3044, 3081, 3073-2017. Economic Development Committee Ordinances 3205, 3206-2017. Public Service and Transportation Committee Resolutions 296X, 302X, and Ordinance 3183-2017. Recreation and Parks Committee Ordinance 2676-2017. Public Utilities Committee Ordinances 2998, 3000, 3001, 3002, 3003, 3004, 3031, 3083, 3084, 3090, 3150, and 3174-2017. Rules and Reference Committee, Ordinance 3023-2017, Ordinances 3156, 3169, 3245, 3247, 3268, and 3198-2017. Zoning Committee, Ordinances 3116, 3117, 3124, 3164, 3171, 3177, 3178, 3182, 3184, 3185, 3210, 2974-2015, and 3168-2017. All the ordinances that I read prior to the 2015 ordinance were also -2017.
The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent actions. Will you now read the ordinance number of each into the record?
Resolutions of expression 321X, 322X, 323X, 324X, 325X-2017. Finance Committee Ordinances 2847, 2976, 2986, 3017, 3022, 3042, 3060, 3061, 3066-2017. Health and Human Services Committee Ordinances 2837, 2856, 2988, 3099, 3152, 3162, and 3167-2017. Economic Development Committee Ordinance 2730-2017. Environment Committee Ordinances 2533, 2960, and 3047-2017. Administration Committee Ordinance 2631, 2659, 2990, 3154, 3155, 3157, 3158, 3159, 3197, and 3200-2017. Public Safety Committee Ordinances 2995 and 3059-2017. Public Service and Transportation Committee Ordinances 2827, 2867, 2941, 2942, 2992, 2993, 3018, 3027, 3029, 3035, 3102, 3112, 3119, 3123, 3127, 3145, 3187-2017. Recreation and Parks Committee ordinances 2871, 2943, 2946, and 3104-2017. Housing Committee ordinances 2573, 3065, 3079, 3089, 3107, 3108, 3109, 3110, 3111, 3189, 3190, 3191, 3192, 3215-2017. Technology Committee ordinances 2907 and 3043-2017. Public Utilities Committee ordinances 1838, 2437, 2558, 2648, 2744, 2778, 2782, 2783, 2788, 2795, 2798, 2803, 2805, 2829, 2835, 2851, 2855, 2868, 2873, 2878, 2883, 2885, 2889, 2899, 2905, and 2909, 2916, 2922, 2924, 2927, 2940, 2952, 2957, 2891, and 3095-2017. Appointments from the mayor's office numbered A0184-2017.
Thank you, Clerk. We do not have any speakers for the consent action portion of the agenda.
I need to make one correction. My staff tells me that I inadvertently read the numbers backwards. What page was that, Aparna? The number on page 24, consent action -10, is 2981 instead of 2891. Thank you.
Let the record reflect the correction to the consent action portion of the agenda. As it indicated, we have no speakers. Any comments or questions from my colleagues on the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion for approval of these consent actions by voice? Clerk, call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Page?
Yes, with the exception of 2960-2017 and 3047-2017, on which I am abstaining.
Stinziano?
Yes, with the exception of 2988-2017, on which I am abstaining.
Tyson?
Yes, with the exception of 2847-2017, on which I am abstaining.
And President Klein?
Yes, consent action carries with the notable exception. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day tabled and emergency legislation. The first committee is the Finance Committee. It's chaired by the President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
The first ordinance is 3020-2017 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into a contract for the purchase of fleet vehicle batteries with Automotive Distributors Company, Inc., to authorize expenditure of $1 to establish the contract from the general fund and to waive the provisions of the city code related to competitive bidding and to declare an emergency. The total estimated annual expenditure is $150,000. And Director Lombardi, would you please share why we are waiving competitive bidding?
Sure. Thank you, President Klein, President Pro Tem Tyson, other members of council. On August 24th, 2017, we put out a bid for some fleet vehicle batteries. Those bids were due at 11 o'clock that day. At around 10:55 on that day, the procurement system shut down. And we got a call from the company saying that they had their bid ready to input. They went to input and submit it, and the system wouldn't allow it. So the staff verified, in fact, that the company did provide bids. There's no way that they could have put that information after 11 o'clock. So we, because it was the fault of the city and not of the company, we went ahead and accepted the bid to review. That is, it turns out to be the low bid. It was the low bid. And because of that, accepting it, as we call it, in an informal basis, we are waiving competitive bidding.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 32 37-2017 to authorize the appropriation of $7,789,445 in various divisions and object levels of the Community Development Block Grant Fund to provide funding through the approved programs and declare an emergency. I move to table this indefinitely.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. I'd now like to move to Health and Human Services. Thank you. And as I begin to read this legislation, I'm going to ask Erica Clark-Jones, who's Director of Celebrate One, to come to the podium. She has some guests with her. And this ordinance is to authorize the mayor's office to modify and extend an existing contract with The Ohio State University to provide training and certification to community health workers for the Celebrate One Community Connector Corp project, and to authorize expenditure of $71,300 from the city's private grant fund, and to declare an emergency. Director, the floor is yours.
Good evening, President Pro Tem Tyson, President Klein, members of council. Thank you for having us and entertaining this legislation. I'd like the ladies behind me to introduce themselves.
My name is LaDonna Cottrell. I'm a Celebrate One connector at St. Stephen's Community House.
I'm Nadine Reinhardt. I represent Celebrate One at the Hilltop YMCA.
My name is Victoria Bryant. I represent St. Stephen's Community House through Celebrate One, and we reached over 4,000 women through Celebrate One at St. Stephen's.
My name is Lois Ferguson. I'm also a Celebrate One connector at St. Stephen's Community House. As we said, we've reached over 4,000 women, and we have done this by just getting out there and doing the work.
Thank you. As you know, we cannot do this work alone, and I think these women are some of our best calling cards to the work that we do. There are 20 other individuals like them across the city, spread over 8 neighborhoods that we have seen have disproportionate rates of infant deaths throughout Columbus. Just a key point on the legislation you're considering tonight, our Celebrate One Community Connector program trains residents of our priority areas to be certified community health workers through the Ohio State College of Nursing. Each year we train these women and then sponsor a year-long internship at a community-based organization. This work is funded through the United Health Foundation, and these ladies represent the outgoing class of community connectors from 2017. Their graduation is next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock at the Columbus Public Health Department. And then in 2018, we will train a whole new group of residents of these neighborhoods to become community health workers. This legislation with the Ohio State University pays for their training. It's a 14-week training program, and then has 120 hours of community work, and then their internship starts at community-based organizations, which is the companion piece of legislation you will see tonight, and that supports at least 10 community-based organizations where these folks operate from. This is their home base, so that when they interact with families and women of childbearing age, they have a home base to do this outreach and engagement and connections from. With that, I'm happy to take any questions, or any of us can.
Erica, thank you for coming down, and to the ladies, we really do appreciate your service to our community. We know that if we want to turn this infant mortality issue in our community, if we're going to make headway in this, it's going to be required by this whole community coming together, but especially you, because you're in the community working with our families and making a difference, ensuring that giving these women and their families the support that they need so that they and their children will be able to live not only to their first birthday, but to continue to move forward in their lives. So thank you for your service. And to you, Director, thank you for the work that you do and around Celebrate One to improve the lives of our children in this community. So thank you. And we certainly do appreciate Ohio State University and the training they give the women in their communities. And with that, if there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Thank you for your consideration.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown?
I have a piece of companion legislation in Health and Human Services, Ordinance 3030-2017, to authorize the mayor's office to modify and extend 12 existing contracts to provide community health workers for the Celebrate One Community Connector Corp project through December 31st, 2018. To authorize the expenditure of $254,816,048 from the city's private grant fund, and to declare an emergency. And we just learned about the great work of the Celebrate One Connector Corp program. Emergency action is being considered so that timely services can proceed without interruption. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? I move for passage by voice vote.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
Page? Stenziano? Tyson?
Abstain.
President Klein.
Thank you. I now have Ordinance 3068-2017. It's to authorize the Board of Health to enter into revenue contracts with the Franklin County Children's Services for $260,000, a National Youth Program Advocate Program, Inc. for $15,000, and the Buckeye Ranch, Inc. doing business as Permanent Family Solutions Network for $15,000 for the continuation of the Family Ties Program, which helps reduce child abuse and neglect, to authorize the appropriation of $290,000 to the Health Department and the Health Department's Grants Fund for the Family Ties Program, and to declare an emergency. The Family Ties Program will provide home visiting services to approximately 100 Franklin County children from birth to 3 years of age and their families to prevent any additional instances of abuse or neglect. The team consists of a public health nurse, social worker, outreach worker, and services provided in the participant's home. The team works with the family for approximately 4 to 6 months. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Thank you. The next ordinance is 3069-2017. This is to authorize the Board of Health to extend a revenue contract with the Franklin County Children's Services for the provision of public health services in an amount not to exceed $1,755,000, to authorize the appropriation of $1,755,000 to the Health Department and the Health Department Grants Fund, and to declare an emergency. This contract provides nursing services to children under the care by assigning a public health nurses to the FCCS Intake and Investigation Department. And these public health nurses perform health assessments of children, make home visits with intake staff, provide nursing consultation and training, interpret medical reports, and help develop treatment plans for the families. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage. Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And the final piece of legislation is legislation number 3161 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into a contract with Access Health Columbus, doing business as Healthcare Collaborative of Greater Columbus, for the coordination of efforts to improve the primary care services in the community, and to authorize the expenditure of $25,000 from the Health Special Fund to declare an emergency. And Dr. Mashika Roberts, could you please just share some information about this legislation?
Sure. Thank you so much, President Pro Tem Tyson. This is a contract we have with now Healthcare Collaborative of Greater Columbus, and we use them to do a variety of things to help us better understand the health of our community and do assessments that we in public health might not be able to do with our resources. So we rely on these small funds to help us execute some extra additional work we need from them.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Legislation passes.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. The next committee is Economic Development. It's chaired by Councilmember Elizabeth Brown. Chair Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Economic Development, we have Ordinance 2933-2017 To authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a dual-rate jobs growth incentive agreement with Blue & Company, LLC for a term of up to 5 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $275,000, the retention of 25 jobs, and the creation of 15 new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $977,571. Blue & Company, LLC is one of the 55 largest public accounting firms in the country, with more than 450 professionals and 13 offices in 4 states. They are proposing to move and expand their current office in Columbus to a new location near Polaris. This agreement incentivizes the creation of 15 new full-time permanent jobs by discounting 25% of income taxes withheld for new employees for up to a term of up to 5 years. And since it's a dual rate incentive, there's a 30% discount on what's held for new employees if they are residents of Columbus. The 15 new positions will have salaries ranging between $20.67 and $47.81 per hour. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, we have Ordinance 2934-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Alsher Properties, LLC and Farber Specialty Vehicles, Incorporated for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a total proposed capital investment of approximately $6.7 million, the creation of 20 new full-time permanent positions, and the retention of 110 full-time jobs. Farber Specialty Vehicles is a 4th-generation family-owned business that was established in Central Ohio in 1920. They are planning to relocate and expand their corporate headquarters and manufacturing facility to the former Anderson's General Store located near the Bryce Road corridor in southeast Columbus. This move will include a capital investment of $6.7 million, the retention and relocation of 110 full-time employees, and the creation of 20 new positions. Estimated salaries will range between $18.27 to $21.15 per hour. The Department of Development is recommending this abatement on real property improvements through the EZA in recognition of the capital investment and the new jobs. Is there anything you want to say, Director Shoney, specifically about the neighborhood, the geography of this project and its significance?
Thank you, Chair Brown, President Klein, President Pro Tem Tyson, members of council. This is, as I think everybody knows, when Anderson's announced that they were getting out of the retail business, everyone was very concerned about what was going to happen with their 2 locations within the city of Columbus, and this location in particular. We're very excited to see Farber coming into this location. They've been a great Columbus company for years, and we think this is an opportunity for them to do even more in the neighborhood. This is one of several projects we've seen in recent years in this neighborhood, and we think it's a sign that we're seeing more business investing in the Bryce-Tusing area, and we're excited about it.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Shoney. Are there any questions from my colleagues or comments? All right. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Great. And Councilmember Stenziano has a ordinance that he's sponsoring in economic development. Councilmember.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to bring forward Ordinance 3014-2017 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Pizzuti GM Holdings, LLC and Pizzuti GM, LLC for a property tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a proposed total investment of approximately $16,600,000, of which approximately $11,172,675 will be related to the construction of approximately 46,780 square feet of commercial office space. An additional $2,584,000 will be related to the construction of 34 parking spaces in support of the office development and the creation of 25 net new full-time permanent positions. So affiliates of the developer of the Pizzuti companies are proposing to redevelop what's known as the Grandview Mercantile Antique Marketplace and RevView Consignment Store, both located at North High Street and West First Avenue in the Short North Arts District, to a 4-story mixed-use commercial, office, and retail development with parking constructed beneath the building. As many of you may know, the original plans actually included or sought a 12-story tower that the Victorian Village Commission was against. The contractor, to their credit, went back to the drawing board and proposed this project, which the neighborhood got behind and supported. That's again estimated that the new development will support the creation of 25 net new full-time permanent positions with an associated annual payroll of approximately $1,250,000 by December 31st, 2022. As a total estimated payroll of $1.25 million per year, that would yield $31,250 in average annual new city income tax revenue. Over 10 years, which is the life of the EZA, that would be $312,500. As always, with projects like these, the Columbus City School District was made aware and did not raise any objections. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? We do have one speaker in opposition, Mr. Joe Motil. Joe, if you would like to come down. Podium is all yours, Joe.
Okay, thanks. President Klein, Chairwoman Brown, Pro Tem Council Tyson, and members of the City Council. Again, when is this nonsense going to stop? The endless granting of tax abatements in the most profitable, thriving, risk-free development neighborhood in the Midwestern United States, and all the while you continue to place the additional burden of higher property taxes on Columbus homeowners and reduce the necessary revenues to educate our children and pay teachers the salary raises that they deserve. The short north boundaries are no longer required to be under the umbrella of an enterprise zone, which is nothing more than a code word for our tax abatement district for your filthy rich developer campaign contributors. And please stop with the absurdity that Columbus is in competition with its suburbs that are granting 100% tax abatements and other more lucrative deals. As long as you continue to grant these 10-year 75% tax abatements in these risk-free areas, such as the Short North, developers are going to continue to buy up property and build. No questions asked. The short and long-term property value in the Short North will far exceed that of any in our surrounding suburbs, which is why the suburbs are offering higher incentives in the first place. They cannot compete with it. There's more money to be made in the Short North. The value of the land will be worth more than it would be if it were to be developed in the suburbs. So when a developer does decide to sell, it's going to be much, much more profitable. 2 weeks ago, you granted a tax abatement of $4.1 million to Crawford Hoying for a Short North development project. They has happened to have paid $4.1 million for the property in July of last year. The abatement you granted covered the purchase price of that property. What developer wouldn't take a deal like that? And tonight comes the poster child of tax abatements and free property handouts. The Pizzuti Company, along with its combined campaign contributions to the mayor and members of the City Council, totaling $36,500. Mr. Pizzuti bought 103 acres of land for $12.4 million and was recently granted by this council a tax abatement for $18 million. Once again, the tax savings covering the purchase of this price covered the purchase price of his property. The $3.1 million early Christmas gift that will cover about 70% of this purchase price for this property, by my account, the city has already handed over no less than $27.3 million in tax abatements to the Pizzutis, and that's not including his property tax savings on his most recent Short North hotel deal. And let's not forget the unbid purchase of the hotel property and $1 for free parcel of land that the city gave him that his multi-million-dollar moneymaker, Marinova, currently sits on. Tax abatements don't create jobs, the development does. And the Pizzutis don't need a dime to be profitable, and his hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate assets is a clear indication of that. This is yet another classic example of unjust enrichment, and this council's continued prioritizing of pandering to the rich and powerful while neglecting the economic and social needs of our distressed neighborhoods. This criminal exchange of campaign contributions for tax abatements needs to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Motel. Director Shoney, would you like to speak to any of the issues raised or talk about the project itself?
A couple of points. Number one, in terms of the comments you made, Mr. Stinziano, regarding the developer's response to the feedback from the Victorian Village Commission. I did want to highlight that myself. I think it was a sign in which this is a good example of where the process really can work, and this is why we do force the community engagement through our architectural review commissions to get that kind of feedback through to the community. So thank you for highlighting that in your comments. As it relates to Mr. Motil's comments, look, at this point, I think it's he and I are both fairly strongly on record that we disagree in terms of our analysis on the impact of tax abatements. I do appreciate Mr. Motil's passion and, frankly, the amount of time that he puts in and works on this. We don't get anywhere as a community and as a democracy if you don't have spirited debate. What I would say is there are a couple of things factually that I would take issue with. Number one, the implication that somehow the abatements are sized to meet a real estate number it's coincidental. It's not factual. I mean, we don't ever look at how much did somebody pay for a property and are we trying to match that to what they're putting in. Really, we look at what is the total development cost. And the numbers that come out are formulaic based on what the millage is on a property, what the amount of time is that we're providing. The other thing that I'm worried his comments leave the impression of is that the city is cutting a check to developers and that we're paying for the land. That's inaccurate. What the abatement is it is a discount on future property tax payments. It is not, and it's also just simply a discount on the growth in those property tax payments, not in the current revenues that the schools are receiving or the levy agencies are receiving or the city's receiving. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate those couple of factual points, and thank you for your time.
Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I would call for approval by voice vote.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Hardin? Page? Stinziano? Tyson?
Yes.
President Klein?
I will return the committee back to the chair.
Thank you, Council Member. Next, we have Ordinance 3015-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with 1086 North 4th Street, LLC, and Likens Company, LLC, for a property tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a proposed total investment of approximately $5,456,375, of which approximately $4,756,375 will be related to the renovation of approximately 35,000 square feet of new Class A office space, retention of 10 full-time jobs, and the creation of 6 net new full-time permanent positions. The Enterprise Zone Agreement involves a project by Likens to redevelop and convert the Bud Dairy Building in Italian Village into a new mixed-use Class A commercial office space with additional space for retail. The project is expected to create 6 new permanent full-time positions with salaries of $14.42 per hour. Director Shoney, would you like to add anything on this project in Italian Village?
Thank you, Madam Chair, President Klein, President Pro Tem Tyson, members of council. The only thing I would add on this is to highlight the fact that this is working with a historic building and working with an existing building. These types of projects tend to be very complex, and more expensive. We appreciate the extent to which Mr. Likens is working with the existing structure. He's worked very well with the Italian Village Commission in this case to make sure that what is really an iconic structure along 4th remains part of the fabric of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Are there any other questions from my colleagues about the project? All right, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, no, I'm not. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Yes.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, we have Ordinance 3032-2017 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a contract with Kairosoft Technology Corp for continuation of the use of Salesforce software, to authorize the expenditure of $45,000 from the general fund, to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes development to continue paying for the use of the Salesforce software platform. The software helps the city provide better customer service to residents and businesses by enhancing the department's ability to track projects and workflow in the office. It enhances their ability to achieve their goals, in particular their efforts to attract new jobs in Columbus, in part because it's also utilized by Jobs Ohio and Columbus 2020, whom the department shares information with on a regular basis. This collaboration between regional partners also helps with job attraction efforts. Competitive bidding is being waived because it would take a substantial amount of time and money to develop an alternative option with the same information sharing capabilities. There is not another company that could provide this same type of software to us. Additionally, emergency action is being requested so that the use of the software is not interrupted. Are there any questions from my colleagues? I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Our last piece in economic development is Ordinance 3077-2017 to authorize and direct the city auditor to transfer an amount not to exceed $2,600,000 within the general fund, to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer $650,000 in cash from the special income tax fund to the general fund, to authorize and direct the city auditor to make payments in an amount not to exceed a total of $2,600,000 in accordance with the Jobs Growth Incentive Program, for which Appellees LLC and JP Morgan Chase Bank have met the requirements of their JGI agreements previously passed by Council, and thus are eligible to receive their payments for 2016. To authorize the expenditure of an amount not to exceed $2,600,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. The Jobs Growth Incentive Program is one of the tools that we discuss regularly in these meetings. It is used by the Department of Development to encourage the creation of new jobs anywhere within the city. As we discussed with the JGI agreement on the agenda tonight, the agreements return a percentage of the income taxes withheld by the city for new employees hired by a company. The department verified that Appellees added 37 new jobs, while JP Morgan Chase added 2,928 new jobs to their Columbus operations and are due the payments authorized by this ordinance. Each of those agreements that this council passes, the company has to perform their commitment in the agreement in order for the city to make the payments that they agreed upon. They are performance-based tools. Any questions from my colleagues? Do you need to add anything, Director, or is that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to give you all an example of the level of detail that my team goes through in verifying these, I can tell you that between these two agreements, the total new and retained withholdings to the city that were generated by these were $29,996,965.88. That is the level of detail looking across 20,000 employees that my team, in particular Bob Jones in our Economic Development Office, goes through to verify this. We really do take great care to make sure that we're ensuring that we get what we pay for. So thank you. That's all I wanted to add.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. I know it's ongoing work throughout the year to make sure that these agreements are what we say they are. Any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. May I move on to Education Committee? In education tonight, we have Ordinance 2811-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Education to enter into a contract with Action for Children to provide an accelerated child development associate program and a CDA coaching program to up to 65 pre-kindergarten teachers who are already serving Columbus children to help meet the mayor's goal that every 4-year-old in Columbus has access to a high-quality early childhood education, to help meet the state's goal that all early childhood education programs be step up to quality rated by the year 2020, and to authorize the expenditure of $111,345 from the general fund. This ordinance is a part of the city's ongoing efforts to increase the number of high-quality child care providers in Columbus, and ultimately to provide every 4-year-old in the city with the opportunity to be educated in a high-quality pre-K classroom. The greatest determinant of the quality of a child's education is the quality of that child's classroom teacher. That is why our Department of Education, led by Director Rhonda Johnson and Assistant Director Matt Smito, is partnering with Action for Children to help teachers obtain their CDA certificates. Through this partnership, we are helping teachers obtain valuable career development training. We are improving the quality of the education children receive, and we are helping pre-K providers become step up to quality rated, which the state of Ohio requires by 2020 if any program is going to receive publicly funded child care dollars. This kind of effort is incredibly important work to happen in our community. I'm proud that the Department of Education has worked with a program as highly rated as Action for Children to find ways to educate the teachers who are doing the work already. It's so important to make sure that we're not just addressing a pipeline of teachers for the future, but giving teachers who are in the classrooms now, teaching our children now, the ability to increase their own expertise and education in providing that educator experience for children. So thank you to the Department of Education for bringing this forward and doing this work. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Stinziano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to reiterate the Department Action for Children's leadership on this. As someone who's a little biased, because I've got a 4-year-old going through the preschool program, and to what you just said, Chairwoman, these teachers are amazing. They truly are game changers throughout all of Columbus. When I was at the State House, seeing some of the work Action for Children did with the Southside Learning Center and knowing the impact they have in Hilltop, programs like these, the thought, the implementation, and the impact these teachers have truly makes a difference for the path these young people are going to have. It's not going to matter what zip code they're in for the education that they're going to be able to receive, and so very supportive and appreciative of the leadership of the department and the agency and your leadership for bringing it forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chairwoman Brown. I had the opportunity to attend a graduation for CDA, and I can just tell you that I'm thoroughly impressed with the individuals and the training that they received, but this really is workforce development. It's getting making sure our young people are prepared to enter elementary school and to get and receive the important skills that they need to move forward in their lives. And so we couldn't ask for a better partnership, but the work is just so important, and just appreciate your leadership and certainly the administration for focusing on pre-K. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. It is really one of the earliest investments we can make in workforce development, preceded only by investments we're making in prenatal care and first year of life to bookend with Celebrate One. Thank you both. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. All right. I move for Mr. Smito, are you good? Okay. I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. And then I just have 3 remaining ordinances left in administration. In the Administration Committee, we have Ordinance 3148-2017 to accept the Memorandum of Understanding number 2017-15 executed between representatives of the City of Columbus and American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 1632, which amends the collective bargaining contract of April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2020, and a Memorandum of Understanding number 2017-08, and to declare an emergency. The amendment to the AFSCME contract is being authorized by this ordinance, voids a one-time payment of $2,500 and issues a lump sum longevity payment for the same amount for full-time employees hired prior to May 15th, 2011. These changes were bargained for and agreed to by representatives from AFSCME and the city. Emergency action is being considered so that these changes can be implemented as soon as possible. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues or the director? Okay. I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, we have Ordinance 3195-2017 to accept the proposed collective bargaining agreement between the City of Columbus and the Communication Workers of America, Local 4502, April 24th, 2017 through April 23rd, 2020, to provide wages, hours, and other terms and conditions of employment for employees in the bargaining unit as provided in the attachment hereto, and to declare an emergency. The title is pretty self-explanatory about accepting the collective bargaining agreement. I would like to acknowledge our Department of Human Resources for the hard work in negotiating and coming to an agreement for this particular unit. I know that you have a lot of collective bargaining agreements to get through this year, and I appreciate your ongoing hard work. To your staff, director, and to you yourself, thank you. I'd also like to thank President Dave McCune of CWA Local 4502 and his leadership team and those bargaining for our members of Local 4502. I know it is long and hard work to come to an agreement, and we appreciate the process of collective bargaining and recognize its importance in our workforce here in Columbus and really across the country in every sector. So any other comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And finally, we have Ordinance 3208-2017 to accept Memorandum of Understanding number 2017-16 executed between representatives of the City of Columbus and American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 1632, which amends the collective bargaining contract of April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2020, and to declare an emergency. The amendment to the AFSCME contract being authorized by this ordinance provides a $500 incentive payment if an employee in the Department of Public Utilities holds certain Master Automotive Service Excellence certifications or Master Emergency Vehicle Technician certifications. These changes were bargained for and agreed to by representatives from AFSCME and the city. Emergency action is being considered so that recruitment and payment under the incentive program can begin as quickly as possible. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Passed.
That's all I have in my committees, President Klein.
Thank you, Chair Brown. We have about 8 minutes before zoning, and having been a former chair of safety, I know that liquor objections can be a lengthy process. So if Mr. Sperlaza and Chair Brown will bear with me here, as well as Councilmember Harden and Public Service, I'd like to go to Recreation and Parks. Try to finish out Rec and Parks, housing, and potentially utilities before the break, and then we'll pivot to zoning. So, Councilmember Page, the floor is yours.
Challenge accepted. This evening in Recreation and Parks, we have Ordinance 2926-2017 to authorize and direct the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with the Ohio State University College of Social Work to provide social and nutrition services to older adults in Central Ohio during 2018, to authorize the appropriation of $100,000 to the Recreation and Parks Neighborhood Initiatives Fund, to authorize the transfer of funds within and between the Recreation and Parks Neighborhood Initiative Fund, the General Fund, Infrastructure Management, Street Construction, Maintenance, and Repair Fund, and the Health Operating Fund to the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund, to authorize the appropriation of $165,000 to the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund, to authorize the expenditure of $165,000 from the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. I'm co-sponsoring this ordinance with Councilmember Stenziano. Are there any additional comments from the director? Seeing none. Any additional comments?
Briefly.
Councilmember Stenziano.
Thank you, Chair Page. Really want to thank all my colleagues and the work of, that you did on subcommittees through the Age Friendly Columbus Initiative. It has been operating through grants through the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, with primary funders being the Osteopathic Heritage Foundation. As you know, we had a 2-year planning process, and now Columbus has become one of 2 Ohio cities with the age-friendly designation from the World Health Organization through ARP. Many local leaders and citizens participated in surveys and committees to come up with an age-friendly plan that addresses many issues and projects that will make Columbus a great place to age. And for that, again, thank you all for your participation and those that participated in the community. In order to implement this plan, the age-friendly project will be moving to the Ohio State School of Social Work and will have offices in one of our rec centers in the city. The Franklin County commissioners are also going to be partners once we go forward with future implementation. This legislation will allow for funds from the City of Columbus to contribute to the ongoing work of Age-Friendly Columbus. Again, couldn't be more proud that Columbus will be a leader in Central Ohio in addressing issues for all communities, and particularly our residents 65 and older. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Stenziano. President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Chairwoman Page. I just want to say thank you to Councilmember Stenziano for his leadership. I know he worked with the administration, but certainly just appreciate you getting us all involved in your work, and now we're an age-friendly city. Congratulations.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
2944-2017, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a grant agreement with the Ohio Public Works Commission for the 2017 Clean Ohio Conservation Fund Round 11 project, Eastmore Green Line, to authorize the appropriation of $751,800 to the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund, to authorize the City Auditor to transfer $322,200 within the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, to amend the 2017 Capital Improvements Budget Ordinance 1124-2017, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
2949-2017, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with Tyvaco, Inc. for the improvements to the Recreation and Parks Maintenance Headquarters, Annex, and Warehouse, to amend the 2017 Capital Improvements Budget Ordinance 1124-2017, to authorize the transfer of $240,796 between projects within the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And if I may move to housing, have ordinance 3063-2017, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to contract with various contractors that provide roof replacement services to low and moderate income households in Columbus, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of City Code Chapter 329, and to declare an emergency. I'm co-sponsoring this piece with Councilmember Stenziano, and if there are no further questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That's all I have.
The next committee is Utilities. It's chaired by Councilmember Stenziano. Chair Stenziano, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Public Utilities, bring forward Ordinance 2725-2017 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a planned modification for the Professional Construction Management 2 Services Agreement with ACOM Technical Services Incorporated for the Division of Water, to authorize a transfer and expenditure of up to $5,069,000 within the Water General Obligations Bond Fund, and to authorize an amendment to the 2017 Capital Improvements Budget. This is a planned modification for construction management services for multiple capital improvement projects at the Hap Creamian Water Plant, Allen Creek Pump Station, Parsons Avenue Water Plant, and the Dublin Road Water Plant, including program management, constructability reviews, construction costs, project coordination, and construction scheduling. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, ordinance 2862-2017, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to modify an increase in existing construction, administration, and construction inspection services agreement with DLZ of Ohio Incorporated for Blueprint 5th by Northwest Lining Project and the Blueprint West Franklinton Lining Project, to authorize the transfer within of $60,565.73 and the expenditure of $1,515,565.73 from the Sanitary Sewer Go Bond Fund contingent on the 2017 bond sale and to amend the 2017 capital improvements budget. Similar to other Blueprint projects across the city, the Northwest Lining Project includes rehabilitation of existing sewers, repairs to existing sewers, and the construction of new sewers and construction of green infrastructure. The majority of the project will reduce inflow and infiltration of the city's sanitary sewer system, thus mitigating sanitary sewer overflows to basement and waterways. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, ordinance 2893-2017, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Instafrome Technologies, LLC for the Blueprint West Franklinton Lining Project, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $6,163,893.36 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, to authorize an expenditure of up to $6,163,893.36 from said fund and to amend the 2017 capital improvements budget. This project will rehabilitate existing sanitary sewers within the Blueprint West Franklinton area. Again, when finished, it will mitigate sanitary sewer overflows to basements and waterways. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, ordinance 2914-2017, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Fields Excavating Incorporated for the Silver Drive Area Water Line Improvements Project, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $4,530,185.34 from the Water Systems Reserve Fund to the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $4,530,185.34 from the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund for the Division of Water, and to authorize an amendment of the 2017 capital improvements budget. The purpose of this project is to construct necessary improvements to the water distribution system in the Silver Drive area in North Linden. Streets affected are Silver Drive, Loretta Avenue, Dresden Street, East Weber Road, East Como Avenue, and Go Down Road. The improvements identified in the scope of work will replace water lines that have high break histories and require frequent maintenance. The neighborhood liaisons will be contacted to informed of this project during the design phase, and further community outreach may result through the neighborhood liaison program. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, ordinance 3049-2017, to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with FlowServe USA for the purchase of the FlowServe drop-in assembly for the Division of Sewerage and Drainage, to authorize the expenditure of $216,616 from the Sewer Operating Fund, to waive competitive bidding provisions of the City Code Chapter 329 and declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That is all on utilities. I'll move on to judiciary. Bring forward ordinance 2459-2017 to authorize the city attorney to accept a supplemental grant award in the amount of $3,000 from the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, Office of Homeland Security and Justice Programs for the 2017 Value Domestic Violence Prosecutors Grant Program, and to authorize the appropriation of said funds. The Stop Violence Against Women Formula Grant Program is awarded to enhance the capacity of local communities to develop and strengthen effective law enforcement and prosecution strategies to combat violent crimes against women and develop and strengthen victim services in cases involving violent crimes against women. The acceptance of this grant does not require the city attorney to supply any matching funds, and do want to thank your co-sponsorship, President Klein. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Legislation passes.
Not quite 8 minutes, but Councilwoman Page and I were close.
That was pretty good. So what we're going to do is take a break for zoning, and then on the other side of zoning, we'll reconvene, go directly to safety, then go to service, and then we have a series of non-agenda speakers. So can I get a motion to recess regular meeting number 57? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand, motion carries. We stand on recess of 57. We'll convene 58 shortly. Regular meeting number 58 will now come to order. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Page chairs the committee. All members serve on the committee. Chair Page, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Before beginning our zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side. And we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against any council variance, including staff, to please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn in. I swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. I will. Thank you. 3097-2017, to rezone 8558 Sankers Boulevard 43240, being approximately 2.47 acres, located on the east side of Sankers Boulevard, approximately 670 feet north of Lazelle Road, from LC4 Limited Commercial District to LARLD Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is NP Limited Partnership. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Far North Columbus Communities Coalition's recommendation is approval. Is the applicant present and like to make any additional comments? Thank you. Are there any additional comments from staff? Council colleagues? Seeing none, I first move to waive second reading.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
3115-2017, to rezone 8118 Sankers Boulevard 43081, being approximately 3.79 acres, located on the east side of Sankers Boulevard at the intersection with Brockwell Drive, from AR12 Apartment Residential District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is City of Columbus. The proposed use is a police substation. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Far North Columbus Communities Council's Coalition recommendation is approval. Are there any additional comments from staff? Are there any additional comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I first move to waive second reading.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
3118-2017, to rezone 2508 McCutcheon Road 43219, being approximately 3.68 acres, located on the north side of McCutcheon Road, approximately 500 feet east of Oak Spring Street, from R1 Residential District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Gloria E. Parker. The proposed use is a parking lot. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Northeast Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any additional comments from staff? Is the applicant present? There is a request to amend this variance to emergency. If you could please speak on that.
Good evening. My name's Jack Reynolds. I'm an attorney with Smith & Hale, 37 West Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215. And I'm here on behalf of Jeff Brown. And Jeff has, Council President Klein, Councilwoman Page, Jeff has requested an emergency passage of this. There is a contract that needs to be finalized before the end of the year. And so, given the fact that it would be 30 days before final approval of this legislation, he's requested emergency so that we can close before the end of 2017.
Thank you, Attorney Reynolds. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have two Northeast Area Commissioners who are present this evening. Do you have any additional comments on this variance? No, thank you. I would first like to move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
3121-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-02R, Rural District, 3321-05A2, Vision Clearance, 3332-21D2, Building Lines, 3332-29, Height Districts, and 3353-05D2, C2 District Development Limitations of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 482 East 11th Avenue, 43211, to permit a monopole telecommunication antenna with reduced development standards in the R Rural District. The applicant is New Par, doing business as Verizon Wireless. The proposed use is a monopole telecommunications antenna. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and there is no area commission and no known opposition. Are there any additional comments from staff? Is the applicant present and would like to make any additional comments? Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to waive second reading.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
3125-2017, to rezone 60 North Wheatland Avenue, 43204, being approximately 1 acre located on the east side of North Wheatland Avenue at the intersection opposite Violet Street from NG Neighborhood General District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is City of Columbus. The proposed use is a parking lot. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Greater Hilltop Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any additional comments from staff? Seeing no questions or comments, I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
2852-2017, to rezone 2539 Gantz Road, 43123, being approximately 4.8 acres located on the west side of Gantz Road, approximately 1,000 feet north of Dyer Road from R Rural District to LM Limited Manufacturing District. The applicant is Levesque Commercial Construction and Development. The proposed use is a self-storage facility. The City Department's recommendation is disapproval. Southwest Area Commission's recommendation is approval. I now would like to ask for a staff presentation.
Good evening. The 4.75 acre site consists of 2 undeveloped parcels currently annexed from Jackson Township into the City of Columbus. The site will be assigned, the site is currently assigned the R Rural District. The site is within the boundaries of the Southwest Area Plan, which recommends medium to low density residential land uses at this location. The limitation text specifies the permitted use of the property and includes commitments to building setbacks, building height, site access, landscaping and screening, building materials, and lighting. The property will be developed in accordance with the submitted site plan. The requested LM Limited Manufacturing District would permit a self-storage facility. City staff does not feel that deviation from the Southwest plan is warranted at this location. As you can see from the surrounding uses, it's residential in character. So once again, we stuck with the area plan for this particular rezoning request. Therefore, staff's recommendation is for disapproval, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, is the applicant present and would like to make any additional comments? Okay, thank you. We do have 2 speakers, one speaking for this variance and one speaking against. I would first like to ask Holly Baker-Bricker to come down to the podium. It's my understanding that you're speaking for this variance. If you could again state your name, your address, and any organizations you are representing. You have 3 minutes, and welcome to council.
My name's Holly Baker Bricker, and I live at 2545 Gants Road, Grove City, Ohio, 43123. And I'm here representing myself and the property owners. My husband and I live on the south side of the property. I am a sister of the property owners, and I have lived on this land pretty much my whole life and care very deeply as to what happens to it. The traffic along Gants Road has increased to the point of being ridiculous. Semis are up and down the road constantly, and traffic from about 3 o'clock till about 6 is bumper to bumper during the week. That's one reason why I do not want to see more housing go in. I would much rather have a controlled, monitored, and secured facility where the hours are limited and the flow of traffic would be a minimal increase compared to what we have now. I don't believe crime increase would be an issue. We've been broken into once and have had multiple attempts at break-ins. My cousin's barn was burned to the ground, and all from the surrounding apartments and houses. Any increase in crime would be due to more housing, not from the secured facility that is proposed. I've heard concerns of there being a water issue. I don't understand that because the properties that sit along the back sit higher than this property, slope down towards the property, and the plans call for a retention pond, so the water issue is no issue. I've heard that the rural scenery needs to be retained. Rural scenery does not mean a dumping ground for old tires and anything else people want to throw there. If it's not your rural scenery, you have no right to be on it, and we are constantly running trespassers off. When we went before the Southwest Planning Commission, there wasn't anyone there voicing protest. The plans were approved, and I believe that is because they live there in the area or surrounding areas and understand the issues we have right now. The property has become a hardship for my family to maintain, not only in paying the normal taxes, but the hazards continue to increase for my brother bringing his big machinery up through the traffic in order to continue to farm it. Because of that, the land is not going to stay rural, it is going to be sold. So for all the reasons that I've stated, we ask that the property be rezoned so that the planned, monitored, secured facility can go in rather than more housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I would like to ask our next speaker, Pamela Mueller, to come down. She is speaking against this variance. Ms. Mueller, you have 3 minutes. If you could again state your name and any organizations that you are representing, and welcome to council. And just so we're clear, Ms. Mueller is the only one authorized to speak. Okay.
They could introduce themselves. Could they do that?
That's fine, very briefly.
Brian Heaston, a property owner back by the retention pond where the water would be running through my backyard. A retention pond.
Pat Jameson. I live next door to Pam and would be the first lot that the water would come through.
Thank you, Ms. Mueller.
We're all original homeowners in the neighborhood. I've been there since 1994, like starting. My name is Pamela Mueller. I live at 2354 Hunterstown Drive. The city department agreed, as I said, the Southwest plan, that non-residential use is not appropriate. At a 9/14/17 public hearing, all 4 commissioners voted their disapproval, and Attorney Klein was admonished for filing prematurely. This community consists of hardworking individuals and families who take pride in and take care of their homes and properties. There's the Free Will Baptist on the north side, which has no say in this because their properties will not be affected. They are not planning on selling that property. They've been there since 1961. And then Holly Bricker, who's living on the front of the property, and there's a south side property, which is also a family member of Holly and her siblings. It appears that the storage units will be a family business. There are studies and negatives and articles about crime plaguing self-storage units, including burglary, assaults, drug abuse, prime targets of steal using nothing more than a bolt cutter. How long before this criminal activity spills over to our community? If this rezoning is allowed for this property, it would be out of the realm of possibility, it would not be out of the realm of possibility, adjoining unincorporated tracts would follow suit because that door has been opened. Provided you with site compliance and pictures that shows the property, how the slope and so forth on, and if you have any questions, that let me know. The runoff and discharge into my property will make it down our yards. And the detention pond, it's not a retention pond, it's a detention pond, showing the slope of our properties and the grate intended to handle the large stream of water that runs down Hunterstown to this grate and was intended for residential use only. Reasonable minds would agree that storage units have only negative impact and does not add value or marketability to property. Reasonable minds would agree that a detention pond on or adjacent to a residence has only negative impact and does not add value or marketability to property. Please do not tell us that our reward for working hard, paying taxes, and taking pride in our property in this community, will these storage units and detention pond be a long-term drain on this neighborhood and property values because this family wants to get money out of this farmland. No value is added to the community by adding these storage units. The only value is to realize to this family, and who clearly have no regard for this community or the people who live there.
Thank you. Councilmember Cinziano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Curious if you raised these issues with the Area Commission during the process?
The Southwest? I did not get a notice.
Yeah, we did not get notices on that.
And follow-up? Thank you, Chair. If it was not proposed storage but was a housing complex, would you be in opposition of that? Is it the use, or is it that something's going there? Because I assume you'd still have detention or retention
It would not be as a stigma as, I mean, you imagine when you think of a storage unit and a detention pond, and if you see the pictures, and it's beside a church, I mean, it kind of gives you a sinking feeling in your stomach when you think of that. I mean, the property values of our houses will be, a detention bond by itself affects property value. Now you add the storage units, that devalues your property. So a housing, that's what it's for, rural and housing, residential.
Thank you.
And I'm just saying that the runoff from the cement and the cotton and the blacktop is going to be pouring that water over into this detention pond, which will be going into our yards and down to that grate. It wasn't intended for anything other than residential.
And I have one quick question. You said that there were 4 commissioners who voted no, I believe you said. And where was that meeting?
That was at the meeting on the public hearing on September 14th, 2017. And I thought it was for zoning. It was that we were, yeah, up north there.
Okay.
And we got a notice for that, so we went to that. And all 4 commissioners, there were several agendas on there, all 4 of them agreed and disallow that.
Okay.
Said it was filed prematurely for one of the reasons.
Thank you all so much. Are there any additional? President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Chair. It says the Southwest Area Commission recommendation was unanimous.
Correct. It's my understanding from staff that that was at the Development Commission meeting. And was a Development Commission disapproval?
That is correct, Councilmember Page.
So Development Committee disapproved.
Yes, so the city staff as well as the Development Commission have both voted disapproval, and the Southwest Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Thank you. Again,
Councilmember, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Harden.
I apologize. This question is for staff. Can you speak on that disapproval? I wanted to go a little bit deeper into the retention pond, the water runoff. What are the effects of the additional blacktop, the runoff, and this detention/retention pond? And did that weigh into city's disapproval?
I will do my best addressing that, as I am not an engineer. Councilmember Harden, President Klein, members of council. Stormwater is not usually considered as a zoning issue because there's a separate code and separate set of regulations that developers have to follow.
They will have to account for any change in the surface of their site, and they'll have to engineer it with a stormwater drainage plan. Usually at the zoning level, they are nowhere near at that point because those plans cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they don't even own this property yet. So at this stage, usually those details are not completely available, but what I can tell you is that we do have engineers and architects on staff of the Development Commission, and they have to control the water on their own site. It's illegal for water to overflow onto other people's properties.
And there's like an equation, right, that you can per
that would probably
footage
be a question for Public Utilities Department, so, but I believe there is.
Can we speak on the elevation of the, I see on the diagram, there's, it looks like shrubbery or something that would that obscure the storage units from the property that abuts it?
As far as the screening goes, they are proposing a good buffer area, and yeah, the closest storage building is probably a good, is that 50 to 100 feet away from the rear property lines of the adjacent residential uses. Had this development been in an area where we thought self-storage was a good use, then this, I believe, would be a sufficient buffering adjacent to residential.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, do you have any notes that you can speak about the Development Commission's vote for disapproval and why?
I believe the combination of the staff recommendation for disapproval based on the area plan recommendation and the adjacent property owners that attended the meeting that were not aware that this was in the works and did not get a notice for at the area commission meeting. I think they took those factors into consideration and decided that staff's recommendation held more credence than the area commission's recommendation. So they voted disapproval.
Thank you. And real quickly, any knowledge onto why those neighbors didn't receive notice of the area commission meeting?
The only thing that I can probably share is that there's nothing in the city code that requires an area commission to send notices. The notices are to be sent for the public hearings for Development Commission for City Council. The code is silent to area commission notification. I know the Department of Neighborhoods is working on trying to improve processes throughout all area commissions so that they streamline their processes and do things similarly. But I don't know what happened here, sorry.
Thank you. Councilmember Elizabeth Brown.
Do you happen to know whether there was opponent testimony at the area commission meeting? I know what their recorded vote was, but do you know whether?
Councilmember Brown, I'm sorry, I do not know that. All of the opposition that showed up at Development Commission said that they didn't receive notice for the area commission. So I'm just assuming that they probably didn't notify for that particular meeting. And I know a lot of area commissions rely on their websites and with hopes that the constituents will see things there, but that's not always the case.
Did area commission members attend Development Commission?
They did not. That was one of the reasons why I think Development Commission also voted disapproval, was because there was nobody from the Southwest Area Commission present at our meeting to explain the proceedings of this application.
Okay, thank you.
The applicant is present. You do have the opportunity for rebuttal. Do you have any additional comments?
My name is Robert Levesque with Levesque Commercial Construction Development. First of all, I'd like to speak on the retention pond. As far as containment of the stormwater runoff, it is within the Columbus City Code that it is to retain all of the storm water runoff during any rainfall whatsoever, and to be dispersed in a slow manner in accordance with, you know, city code, so that there's not any spillage in the neighbors' yards. A couple of other things I'd like to address is, you know, the type of cylinder locks that we have on our other facilities and so forth. It's not just a simple matter of, you know, bolt cutters to get in and to break in. These facilities have come a long way since the 70s and 80s for that matter. And, you know, that would require an actual grinder to get in through the locks and so forth, in which case we don't actually have outlets and power supplies on the building's exterior or interior for that kind of access. Also, there would be cameras at each building's location on the corners showing drive aisles and in each direction, coded gate access, and limited hours of operation. The one thing that I will say is that, you know, this development would back up into single-family homes on the west, which is not actually very uncommon considering Cardinal Self-Storage has done the exact same thing on Hilliard Rome Road, as well as North Hamilton Road, in even a more densely populated residential neighborhood than what we're proposing here. And as far as what had happened with the Southwest Area Commission serving notices, again, I can't really speak as to why they didn't send those out. I know that Chris Klein, my attorney, had made up all the addresses with names and so forth, the labels that were to be turned in as part of the application. And Stephanie Coe's the chair of that area commission, but I really have no idea as to why that wasn't sent out. It would have helped us a good bit, I would assume, if this would have happened at that point, than as, you know, a development commission. So, and that's all I have for this evening, unless there's additional questions.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Council Member and Chair Page. Did you attend the Southwest Area Commission's hearing on this?
Yes.
And so there was no opposition at that point?
No.
No, because they didn't get the notices. So you made your presentation?
Correct.
And then it was unanimously approved?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I would actually like to move to table this variance until our final meeting for the year, which would be December 11th. President.
Chair, I think the
Have to waive second reading.
appropriate course is to first waive second reading and then move to table.
I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll on waiving second reading.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Second reading waived.
I now move to table this variance until December 11, 2017.
Clerk, call the roll on the tabling.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Legislation tabled.
Thank you, President Klein. That's all we have in zoning this evening.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Any other business to come before the zoning committee? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn regular meeting number 58? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand adjourned. Can I get a motion to reconvene regular meeting number 57? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein. You're welcome.
We are back in regular meeting number 57. We'll now go to the Safety Committee. Councilmember Brown chairs that committee. Chair Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Public Safety Committee, we have several pieces of legislation. First, I have a series of resolutions pertaining to liquor objections. My office is working with City Attorney Pfeiffer and Assistant City Attorney Bill Sperlaza I would like Mr. Spalazzo to provide background in the process and provide context for each objection which we are presenting this evening, answering questions as they come up. Once that's completed, we'll go through the legislation without any interruption. First, I'd like to offer an opportunity for City Attorney Pfeiffer if he wishes to make any comments.
Mr. Chairman, President Klein, members of the council, yes, this process is an annual review process. People who hold liquor permits hold them at the, not as a right, but as a pleasure of the state, and they have to conduct their business accordingly. Each year, and Mr. Spalazzo will explain this, this council has a right to object to the renewal of certain liquor permits. If, in fact, council does that, then I, as the chief legal officer, must sign a letter that, in my opinion, there is sufficient legal basis to object to the permit. Now, why do I say that? It is our experience that when we go through these issues, there are some citizens who, in some cases, get to the point of outrage if we don't agree with them that we should be objecting to a liquor permit renewal. Perhaps Mr. Spalazzo will explain the lengths to which he goes to investigate what some citizens believe should be done. But what you will hear tonight is, from Mr. Spalazzo, is the necessary evidence that we are required by statute to object to liquor permit renewals. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Pfeiffer. Mr. Spalazzo, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, President Klein, President Pro Tem Tyson, Chair Brown. I'll first briefly go through the process that we use to determine who we're going to object to, who we're going to ask the City Council to object to. We meet every month, first Thursday of every month, the Columbus Police Department's Liquor NAG Group. That group includes multiple entities such as the Columbus Police Department, the Ohio Investigative Unit, the State Lottery Commission, City Fire, Code, Building, Health, and Licensing. As I sit here today prepared to present to you objections for this year, this same week on Thursday, we'll begin discussing objections for December of 2018. So we put a lot of work into it throughout the year. As we get into the fall season, we start having more regular meetings specifically designed towards determining who has met that evidentiary threshold to have their permit objected to. I began heading this process in 2012, and our goal at that time in reshaping the process was to bring as many of our state and local partners to the table as possible. As a result of that process, I would share with you briefly, because I understand that this council, for the last, this will be 6 years now that I've been presenting on this subject. You rely on the testimony and the evidence you hear from myself, from the Columbus Police Department. And I want you to know that since 2012, this council has objected to 78 permits, and 66 of those permits resulted in not being renewed the next year. So that's an 85% success rate. I will also tell you that of the permits this council objected to in December of 2015 and in December of 2016, there were 21 total. 21 of those permits ended up not being renewed, and that is a 100% success rate. And I will also tell you that when these objections do go to hearing at the Division of Liquor Control, oftentimes permit holders hire attorneys, present evidence, and we have a hearing at the Division of Liquor Control. The past 15 straight hearings the Division of Liquor Control has ruled in the city's favor, and that dates back to August of 2015. So I am simply here to tell you that we have a firm process in place with a bunch of really good people that come to the table together and discuss these issues, and thus far the process is working. With that, I'll get into the 8 permits that I'm going to present evidence on this evening. The first is Resolution SR 18-0330X 2017. That is the permit at A to Z Market at 1015 East Hudson Street, permit 6550980. The evidence at this permit premises concerns drugs. We have the Columbus Police Department has 3 drug buys from the stores, from the clerks themselves. We also have multiple underage sales of alcohol, 4 in the past year alone. Overall, we have multiple reports of specific incidents of drugs, prostitution on the lot where we have criminal cases filed and convictions, liquor violations of the same, violence, and multiple gun runs as well. The next resolution is SR 19-0331X 2017. This is for the permit at Moses One Stop Shop at 1609 Cleveland Avenue, permit 2655587. This address was the subject of a nuisance abatement filed by my colleague, Kat Carrick. The nuisance abatement, it was found that the property was a nuisance. It was also found that the property owners and operators were found to be maintaining a nuisance. This was based primarily on multiple drug and incidents and gang activity. Between May and August of 2017, we have 9 incidents of drugs, drug possession, drug sales, drug activity at this shop alone. We have known gang members using this property as sort of their hangout. We have incidents of liquor violations, tobacco violations, lottery violations. And when we have lottery violations, that might be something a bit new. But essentially, lottery commission officers will go in undercover with tickets they know are paying out, are successful tickets. They will give them to the clerk, indicating they're not sure if it's a winner or not. The clerk will run it through a machine, see that it's a winner, and then if the clerk gives them their money, then they have passed that compliance test, but oftentimes they don't. They'll say it's not a winner and keep it for themselves, or try to do some other sort of deal where they try to buy it to them for 50 cents on the dollar. So that's another great example of our collaboration with different entities. As our group sort of builds momentum and builds a reputation, we brought on the State Lottery Commission to be on our team, and they've been a great new partner for us. So another situation here at Moses One Stop Shop. Also, we have folks at this store buying prescription drugs from individuals and selling those prescription drugs to customers. Next, we have 0332X 2017 Cantina Bar at 491 Park Street, permit 4103160. It seems just about every year we have at least one permit premises that's become the haven for underage drinkers, and this is the place. This is from our partners at the Ohio Investigative Unit who brought this evidence to my desk. Between July of 2016 and August of 2017, the Ohio Investigative Unit has pulled out 45 different individuals from this particular bar who are under the age of 21 who are possessing and or consuming alcohol. 45 between July 2016 and August 2017 again, of different individuals each time. Probably not surprising that we also have 5 indications of underage sales of alcohol in the last 2 years at this premises. One as recently as October 11th of this year. We also have reports from Ohio Investigative Unit undercover officers of open drug use within the bar, at the tables and the seats at the bar. So that is our evidence on that particular place as well. Resolution 033X-2017, the O Lounge at 1536 North Cassidy Avenue, 334156900002 is the permit number. This objection is based primarily on violence and drug activity. This is one of the more violent establishments that we're going to talk about this year. It's been a problem for the Columbus Police Department for some time now. We have incidents of stabbings, shootings, large fights, assaults, again, shots fired, that type of violence. 11 violent incidents like the ones I described to you between 2016 and 2017. We also have undercover officers with the Columbus Police Department who have made multiple drug buys at this property. Next is Resolution 0334X-2017. This is the Glow Lounge at 1024 Shady Lane Road, permit number 12244555002. This is a collaboration between the Ohio Investigative Unit, the Columbus Police Department, and the Whitehall Police Department. This property abuts the city of Whitehall, and we have received multiple complaints from residents of Whitehall who have to deal with the problems there, and quite a bit of cooperation, again, from the Whitehall Police Department as well. This is an after-hours club. This is a property where when most of the bars close at 2:30, a lot of the folks that still want to stay out and don't want to go home will go to an after-hours club where these places will open up at the 2:30, 3 o'clock range and just keep going. And they're a real problem for the neighborhoods, particularly this one, which is in a residential area. It's also acting as an illegal strip club. There are 50 calls for service at this place in 2016 and 2017, including 6 gun runs, 1 narcotics run, and 27 loud noise or disturbance runs for that neighborhood. 11 liquor law violations just in 2017, after-hours consumption, after-hours sale, drug possession, hindering inspections, open containers, public indecency, Those are just some of the highlights. Also, at least 3 drug-related incidents where customers and/or employees were found to be engaging in drug use during inspections. As recently as October 20th, undercover officers with the Columbus Police Department bought alcohol illegally at this after-hours club and also $50 worth of crack cocaine. Resolution 0335X 2017 is the High Five Spice Emporium at 1178 North High Street, permit number 2493899. This has been a problem for the residents and the businesses in the Short North area for a while, including the Short North Alliance, who has expressed their concerns with this establishment. Its primary issue is catering to the intoxicated homeless population in the area. Patrol officers have expressed their concerns with how this place operates, in particular providing alcohol to intoxicated people and providing alcohol to people on a tab or IOU or credit system, where folks that don't have enough money to buy the alcohol can be given it and are assumed to be paying for it later, which is in and of itself a liquor violation. Not surprising, 6 liquor violations in 2017 of underage sale of alcohol as recently as October 11th, 2017. All of those were filed criminal cases. United Foodlands is Resolution 0336X 2017. This premises is at 2222 Summit Street, permit number 0299717. This is a joint OIU Columbus Police Department investigation. In 2016, this council voted to object to the liquor license at 2218 Summit Street, also a United Foodlands. When that objection was lodged, this place terminated that license and, unbeknownst to us, got a license right next door at 2222 Summit Street, and they are back in operation. Same people, same ownership, same employees. In 2016, OIU developed a case at next door with the same individuals that resulted in 9 receiving stolen property cases. In a nutshell, receiving stolen property cases are developed when undercover officers take purportedly stolen property into a convenience store, inform the clerks that they stole it, offer to sell them the property. Clerks will purchase the property at a fraction of the cost, providing the thief with cash and using the property to stock their shelves. 9 incidents of that of 2016 before they moved over to 2222 Summit Street. In addition, the individual responsible for that was charged with a felony case. So now the same group has moved over, and since then 9. This is the record holder for 2017. 9 underage sales of alcohol at the United Foodlands in the past year. Again, that's the tops in 2017, and one as recently as November 1st, 2017. Finally, we have Resolution 0337X 2017, known as Vans Market or Town Market at 1270 West Town Street, permit number 9862835010. This is an Ohio Investigative Unit case, and this is a food stamp fraud case. When we talk about food stamp fraud, we're talking about individuals who are issued food stamp cards. They are like credit cards with a balance on them. They can go to these types of shops, say they have $200 on their card. They would like to buy things with that their card does not allow them to buy. They need cash. So they'll sell a card to a clerk. Say it's a $200 card. The street price is 50 cents on the dollar. So the clerk will give them $100 cash, take that $200 card, and go shopping and stock their shelves with that card. In some cases, they'll tell the card holder, you go buy me what I would like for you to buy me. They'll give them a shopping list. They'll come back and they'll pay them. This happened 9 times in 2017 at Vans Market through undercover officers with the Ohio Investigative Unit. And what was exchanged was money for sure, but also alcohol, tobacco, and synthetic drugs on multiple occasions. In total, 14 overall instances of food stamp violations at this property in 2017. So with that, that's the information we have on our 8 objections in December of 2017. Thank you for your patience and time, and I'm available for any questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from my colleagues? Mr. Spilazzo, would you elaborate on them addressing the issue where they take the property and take it back to the store and they put it on the shelves?
Yes. So it typically occurs when law enforcement makes an arrest on a thief, somebody who's trying to steal from Kroger or something along those lines. Once the arrest is made, once they begin to speak with the criminal at that time, they will ask them, what are you doing with this when you steal 50 cans of Similac? What are you doing when you steal 30 cases of Diet Coke? Well, they say, well, we take it to this market or we take it to that market and we sell it. So that's how we get tips. That's how we find out where the problems are. At that point, law enforcement starts developing an undercover strategy where they will have an undercover officer go in the store, develop some familiarity with the clerks, and then at some point strike up a conversation with them and offer some stolen items to them in exchange for cash. Once that relationship begins, that's sort of when the snowball just kind of keeps rolling and gets bigger and bigger to the point where they'll give them shopping lists and say, next time you go steal me this flavor or this brand or this particular item. So it happens more frequently than you might imagine. And I think stopping the places who are providing the thieves with the money they are looking for is sort of one piece in the puzzle of stopping that commercial theft situation.
Thank you. Councilmember Stenziano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions, but just wanted to thank the city attorney who quickly passes the buck to Mr. Sperlaza. How important your work is in working with the neighborhoods and residents and different businesses that these objections impact. But I know there's many others, and so really want to thank you for your ongoing work as issues have been raised throughout the past year. Your willingness to address, kind of throw all the resources at the different complaints and really come forward to help improve our neighborhood. So thank you, and thank you, City Attorney.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Harden.
Thank you, Chair Brown, and certainly thank you to City Attorney and to Mr. Sperlaza. I have more a process question, I guess. Most of the resolutions that you brought forward dealt with underage drinking, but also other offenses, except for one. One was a lot of underage offenses. What is there a threshold in which you cross and you're saying, okay, now this is one that we should object for in terms of underage drinking? And is that based off of the amount of folks that may frequent said establishment? Like how do we come up with that threshold?
Well, Mr. Harden, thank you. There's no particular threshold in terms of numbers, so we're not going to say if it's this amount of underage sales or underage consumption possessions, we will object to it, but if it's this amount, we will not. And then it can become a sliding scale where we will have liquor violations. So we characterize those as liquor violations, right? How many liquor violations do you have? Well, if you have a lot, then you might meet that threshold. If you have an average amount, but then you also have other things like drug activity, violence, receiving stolen property, food stamp fraud, et cetera, then that sliding scale begins to perform and gives us sort of a better idea of the caliber of establishment we're dealing with. But the bottom line is we feel like we need to have enough evidence to go forward to say that we believe this place substantially interferes with the safety and public decency and good order of the neighborhood and the business district that it belongs in. And I will tell you that, based in law, we make that decision, but also based, in my experience of handling some almost 80-odd of these cases over the last few years and understanding what the Division of Liquor Control was looking for when it's deciding these cases. So we have a pretty good grasp on what they're looking for, but that threshold, it's not low. I couldn't tell you how many permits there are in the city, but we're only objecting to 8, and we picked the 8. We try to pick the worst of the worst.
Is it safe to say that if someone has 45 sales, that it's not just a rogue employee?
Yeah, certainly, and I mean, here the truth is, if you're going to allow people that are between the ages of 18 and 20 into your bar, that's certainly your right, but it is that bar's responsibility to regulate who is buying alcohol, who is consuming alcohol, and who is possessing alcohol. And I think we have a problem here of both allowing people to consume and possess, but also a problem with selling, when we have 5 incidents of bartenders selling to underage individuals, in addition to the 40-some-odd examples of underage people possessing and consuming inside.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. In The ordinance number 0331X, which is the Moses One Stop Shop. And you mentioned nuisance abatement, liquor, tobacco, lottery, buying prescription drugs. And so obviously there's a lot going on there. But when you talk about tobacco, you're talking about, are they, selling loose cigarettes? Are they selling packets of cigarettes? Are they just getting an understanding of all that?
Sure. In terms of some tobacco violations you might find, one would be selling single cigarettes. So you can't open a pack of cigarettes, have them in a box and sell each one for $1 or two for $1, et cetera. And that's what a lot of these places do. You also can't sell them without the proper licenses from the state. So you'll get the Department of Taxation that'll come in and cite these places for that type of situation as well. Now, as you know, we have, in our city, thankfully, we have to be 21 years of age to purchase tobacco, so, and you have to have a permit to do so. So in moving on in the future, I imagine we might see some of those violations as well. Tobacco violations aren't a pillar of our objection cases, but they're a piece of the puzzle. I would not hang my hat on them, but I think we have successfully argued to the division that if they're willing, if this place is willing to break the laws on code violations, on cigarette violations, on licensing violations, then they're probably willing to break the law on liquor violations, synthetic marijuana, food stamps, stolen properties, some of those types of things. So they have a lot of big problems and they have a lot of little problems, and we'd like to sort of show the division that entire puzzle before they make a decision.
Thank you. I think you shared it with that particular business that they had a number of issues. That's just being one. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Before I start, I would like to make sure that everyone appreciates the fact that this is all done undercover. It's a very, very complicated and dangerous activity to which our law enforcement officers and the collaboration with other entities to make this all happen. It's not just so you just walk in and you show your badge. It doesn't work that way. And it's very, very complicated. And Mr. Palazzo, please pass along to all the officers my appreciation for their hard work. With that being said, Resolution 0330X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 6550980 held by 10115 Hudson Inc. doing business as AZ Market located at 10115 East Hudson Street, Columbus, Ohio 43211, and to declare an emergency, I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0331X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 2655587 held by Fothy Food Inc. doing business as Moses One Stop Shop located at 1609 Cleveland Avenue, Columbus, Ohio 43211, and to declare an emergency, I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0332X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 4103160 held by I Love This Bar, LLC, doing business as Cantina Bar, located at 491 Park Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215, and to declare an emergency. I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 033X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 334156900002 held by Great House Entertainment, Inc., doing business as Turbulent Sports Lounge, O Lounge, located at 1536-240 North Cassidy Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43219, and to declare an emergency, I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0334X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 12245550002 held in safekeeping by Candy Cane LLC, doing business as Glow Lounge, located at 1024 Shady Lane Road, Columbus, Ohio 43227, and to declare an emergency, I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0335X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 2493899 held by 1178 North High Street, North High, Inc., doing business as High Five Spice Emporium, located at 1178 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43201, and to declare an emergency. I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0336X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 0299717 held by Asthma Inc., doing business as United Foodland, located at 2222 Summit Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43201, and to declare an emergency. I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Resolution 0337X2017 to object to the renewal of liquor permit number 986283500010 held by Yusef D. 1023 LLC, doing business as Town Market, Vans Market, located at 1270 Town Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43222, and to declare an emergency. I move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That is all the resolution I have for this evening. I have two pieces of legislation. The ordinances are 3070217 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Safety to enter a personal service contract for the administration of all activities of the Teens and Police Services, better known as TAPS Academy, a mentorship program run by the Columbus Division of Police, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the City Code Chapter 329, to authorize the expenditure of $26,000 within the General Government Grant Fund, and to declare an emergency. Director Collins.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. President Klein, council members, this is just to authorize the spending of money to subcontract on a personal service contract to a retired police officer who has been running the program, to re-up this program for continued implementation.
I would also like to thank my council colleague, Michael Stenziano, for his involvement in co-sponsoring this legislation. And I would like to give him an opportunity to comment if you so desire. He might want to talk about the Glow Lounge, but that's a whole.
Now I feel I have to comment. And more shady lane. Do appreciate the department's leadership. I think we know how important this program is to some of our youth, and appreciate the support and the continuation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember
Chairman Brown.
And I know you wouldn't attend those facilities. Ordinance 313702017 to amend Ordinance 2711-2017 to end. We're going to pass it? Yes. Second.
Sorry. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Ordinance 3137-2017 to amend Ordinance 2711-2017 to enter a contract with Crime Point for the purchase of the covert surveillance platforms, to waive the relevant provisions of City Code 329 Chapter relating to the competitive bidding as it was accidentally omitted from that ordinance, and to declare an emergency. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions on that piece of legislation? No. Hearing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And that's all we have in public safety this evening, President.
It's a good thing. Our next committee is Public Service and Transportation. It's chaired by Councilmember Hardin. Chair Hardin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. This evening in Public Service, we have Ordinance 2875-2017 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fees, simple and lesser real estate necessary to timely complete the intersection improvements at Livingston and Barnett Road, Columbus, Ohio 43227. This is the third and final step in the right-of-way acquisition process for the Livingston and Barnett Improvement Project. Because the city attorney's office was either not able to locate or agree with some of the real estate owners, the city is moving forward with this acquisition. So if there are no further questions or comments, we move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 2953-2017 to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract with Double Z Construction Company for the roadway improvements Creative Campus Project, and to authorize expenditure of up to $5,791,692.03 for this project from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund and declare an emergency. At this time, I would invite CCAD President Dr. Melanie Korn and Senior Vice President Jeffrey Fisher to approach the podium. And thank you for sticking around with us. I know this is a longer evening, and thank you for the partnership. The Creative Campus project includes pavement reconstruction, curb and sidewalk installation along the new streets, trees, lighting, and stormwater facilities around Columbus State, the Columbus Museum of Art, and the Columbus College of Art and Design. Dr. Korn, thank you so much for coming down. If you'd like to share any comments on how CCAD believes this will impact your students, but also just the residents of downtown and the city of Columbus.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Councilmember Hardin and the rest of City Council. Very quickly, this is a really important project for CCAD. I know it's been in the works since before I arrived here about 2 years ago, and we are really excited to see it get underway. This is an important part of helping make an urban campus like CCAD, as well as Columbus State next door, a place where our students want to stick around, where they want to be able to be safe. It's an important part of attracting students to CCAD, who will then hopefully stay here in Columbus and be part of our growing creative economy. And in addition, last thing I would say is that it also has important safety impacts as well, particularly that strip of Cleveland Avenue that is right at CCAD is quite dangerous. We've had a number of students get hit by motor vehicles right around there, and so I know that part of the Creative Campus project is to have some traffic abatement, which will be a great asset to CCAD. Any questions I'm happy to take. But.
Thank you so much, Dr. Korn and Mr. Fisher. Director, this is a multi-phase project.
That is correct. So this is what we're considering Creative Campus Phase 1, and then we are just now starting the design of the next phase, which will be Cleveland Avenue, north from the long intersection up to this I-670 freeway.
Thank you so much, Director. And thank you so much, Dr. Korn and Mr. Fisher, for your partnership. We're really excited about this investment. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I'll move for passage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, we have, thank you to my colleagues. Next, we have 2969-2017 to amend the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to appropriate funds within the Wagner Road TIF fund and the in lieu of sidewalk fund, to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriation within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Shelley and Sands, Inc. for the pedestrian safety improvements Wagner Road Shared Use Path Project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,373,903.18 from the Pedestrian Safety Improvements Wagner Road Shared Use Path Project, and to declare an emergency. This contract will widen Wagner Road from Crawford Farms Drive to Wagner Woods Drive and add pedestrian facilities. This is on the far east side of Columbus. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing that, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, I have Ordinance 2991-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Service to enter into contract with the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, or MORPC, for the purpose of completing a regional corridor analysis to authorize the expenditure of $200,000 within the Public Service Voted Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. The Columbus region is set to grow by 1 million people over the next 30 years, and where will they go? Will we sprawl out onto undeveloped land, further clogging our roadways, or will we densify and create a type of community that can facilitate high-capacity transportation and inclusive housing? The recent Insight 2050 study demonstrated the density is a good thing, good for our health, good for our finances, and good for our environment. This past Thursday, community leaders from the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, the Urban Land Institute, the Columbus Partnership, CODA, and Central Ohio municipalities joined the city to announce the regional corridor analysis. MORPC will lead this year-long initiative to assess the potential for compact development along 5 regional transit corridors and how high-capacity transit could serve the needs of the future. This effort builds on the momentum created by CODA's Next Gen, the Department of Public Services Connect Columbus program, Insight 2050, Smart Columbus, and other efforts to advance mobility in our city. The analysis will give us the tools to assess the other corridors and concentrate growth along transit-accessible areas. Director Gallagher, Director Shoney? I think I said it all. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Next, if it's all right, I would like to read these two companion pieces. They both have to do with smart cities. First is Ordinance 3026-2017 to authorize the Chief Innovation Officer to enter into contract with Proteon Software, Inc., and to appropriate funds within the U.S. Department of Transportation Grant Smart City Fund, and to waive the competitive bidding requirements for the City of Columbus Code, and to authorize expenditure of $386,300 from the U.S. Department of Transportation Grant Smart City Fund, to authorize the city auditor to pay an outstanding invoices associated with the system review services, and to declare an emergency. Our second piece is 3028-2017 to authorize the Chief Innovation Officer to enter into a contract with the Quality Aero, Inc., DBA Acquisition Logistics Engineering, to appropriate funds within the U.S. Department of Transportation Grant Smart City Fund, to waive the competitive bidding requirements of City Code, Chapter 329, to authorize the expenditure of up to $238,010 from the U.S. Department of Transportation Grant Smart City Fund, to authorize the city auditor to pay outstanding invoices associated with the initial assessment, and to declare an emergency. Chief Innovation Officer Mike Stevens is here with us this evening. Would you speak on these two ordinances as well as giving up a quick update on your efforts and for diversity and inclusion? And they're very important, seriously, but and I really do appreciate the work that's been done through this committee, but thank you.
Thank you, President Klein, Chairman Hardin, members of council. Prior to detailing the legislation, I just want to give you some background on how we've restructured our portfolio of USDOT grants. After passing year one of the grant program, we evaluate the projects taking into consideration community input, city goals, and USDOT expected outcomes. And as a result of the review, we made changes to the portfolio projects. Most significantly, we put an emphasis on a holistic and integrated approach to data, which is fundamental to becoming a smart city. Our original application included an integrated data exchange project that was being approached as its own separate project. This has been repositioned as the Smart Columbus operating system in our program management plans and processes. All the projects we are deploying generate data and need data to operate. The operating system will be the platform where this data lives and flows. And based on this fundamental and important shift, we had to quickly add 2 experts to our team to ensure a successful grant delivery. We received approval from USDOT to get sole source, do sole source work on this, and the legislation before you tonight is to hire 2 grant-funded consultants. 3026 will allow the city to engage a technologist at Protein Software. Since the data and technology are the backbone of the Smart City Grant portfolio, the Program Management Office needs an in-house technologist to help us lead the development team responsible for implementing the Smart Columbus operating system. And 3028 will allow the city to engage Acquisition Logistics Engineering, a systems engineering expert firm. System engineering is a distinct and rigorous approach which we are following as outlined by USDOT. Unfortunately, the Program Management Office does not have this expertise in-house. It's a true specialty, and we need to a resource to guide our work in a holistic way that reflects the systems approach. After the portfolio restructuring and requisite meetings with USDOT, our team was working hard to meet aggressive schedule milestones, and to that end, we engaged their services early before officially authorized, and therefore the legislation allows for payment of services rendered before we had the contracts executed. I apologize for this oversight. We have since developed systems and processes to ensure that it won't happen again. Diversity and inclusion through supply and workforce efforts is a priority of the Smart Columbus Program Office. I'm happy to share that Acquisition Logistics Engineering is a disadvantaged business enterprise. Also, we are working on strategic and tactical approaches to ensure we are living our values of diversity and inclusion. We have convened a workforce development and diversity working group comprised of local experts
and leaders who are advising on best-in-class approaches to several key areas, which include understanding the impact of smart city technologies will have on the workforce, developing a plan to prepare students and workers for the jobs of the future, and connecting and hiring diverse businesses and individuals. We have been working with local partners, including our own Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the Columbus Chamber, to speak with and engage with diverse small and mid-sized businesses so they understand the Smart Columbus grant portfolio, timeline, and procurement opportunities. We are working towards the city's stated goal of at least 15% of contract spend going to disadvantaged businesses, and currently our DBE spend for the Smart Cities grant is 15%. Thank you for your continued support of Smart Columbus, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens, and certainly thank you and your department for your team for your work with Chief Diversity Officer Francis in taking this charge seriously, not just on the contracting side, but also on the need to create pathways for workforce for people, especially in Linden, as we articulated that in our grant. That is a focus, that we can use these new technologies to improve the lives of even our most vulnerable residents. And so I appreciate your team for taking that seriously. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? With that, I move for passage on Ordinance 3026-2017.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And Ordinance 3028-2017.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you so much. As I read this next ordinance, if Ms. Lynn Reedy, Associate Vice President for Facilities, Operations, and Development at OSU, would please approach the podium. Again, thank you, Ms. Reedy. We have our higher education in the house this evening, and thank you for sticking around with us and your partnership on this project. I have Ordinance 3074-2017 to amend the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Service to execute a grant agreement with Ohio State University relative to the construction of the roadway improvements Cannon Drive relocation project, and to authorize the transfer of funds between projects within Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, and to authorize expenditure of up to $237,841.58 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. The City of Columbus and Ohio State are working together to relocate Cannon Drive to improve the north-south transportation between King Avenue and Lane Avenue, to provide better access to the university, including critical care facilities within the medical campus, and to open up approximately 12 acres for development. Earlier this year, Council passed a memorandum of understanding laying out the respective responsibilities of this partnership. The project costs will be split equally between the city and OSU, with OSU solely responsible for any costs in excess of $36,400,000. The city's total contribution will not exceed $18.2 million. Vice President Reedy, would you speak to the value add, not just to the campus, but to the community around and how this project is coming along?
I will very much. Thank you, Council President Klein, Chairman Hardin, members of Council. Again, I'm Lynn Reedy, Associate Vice President for Facilities, Operations, and Development at the university. With me is Glenn Yoder, who is our project director on this particular project, which, as you may know, is already underway. The goal of the project is to straighten Cannon Drive, but also the university desires to elevate the road to provide flood protection for the campus assets, particularly the medical center area. So at the onset, I'd like to say how appreciative we have been of this longstanding partnership. And as we have moved into design and construction, we're particularly grateful for the partnership with Director Gallagher in the Public Services Department, her staff, and Director Davis from the Public Utilities Department. We actually, day in and day out, these two groups work together quite often to achieve these purposes. The Medical Center District, as you know, is a very dense development area. There are 5 hospitals there. The Medical Center employs nearly 45,000 people today. And since the year 2000, we have invested $1.5 billion nearly in capital construction in that area, which has really grown and developed the area, culminating, of course, with the construction of the James Cancer Hospital, which opened in 2014. On average, for this same period of time, the medical center has added 600 employees a year. And if you trend this out for future development, particularly in the area of the 12 acres that are going to be made available by the straightening of Cannon Drive, that has the potential to add 10,000 to 18,000 more employees into the area. So quite a parking dilemma for us, but a tremendous development opportunity in the area. And you may have noticed that we just last week announced that we are now have posted an RFQ for design services for yet another hospital in the area, and we're hopeful design will proceed on that as well, and we see that as another significant part of growth and development in that area through this partnership. As construction has begun on the project, we are moving very rapidly. The construction itself started in August of 17 and is expected to be finished 2 years hence in August of 19. So we're very, very appreciative of the partnership, of the efforts of the city, of what we can expect to see in the future through this endeavor.
Thank you, Ms. Reedy, Vice President Reedy. Any questions or comments? President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Chairman Harden. Can you also share, I know you've just discussed the importance of the acreage that's going to be there, but can you share to the viewing and listening audience the importance of the new medical facilities that are going to be there to serve the residents not only of the city of Columbus, but the residents from, from Ohio, as well as even, further out than Ohio? Can you just kind of share what's going to be there?
Of course, Councilwoman Tyson, right now in that area, again, as I mentioned, we have 5 hospitals, and the Wexner Medical Center has really become a premier academic medical center, not only in Central Ohio, but frankly for the entire state. So what they are experiencing there are patients that come from long distances, right, to access this specialized medical care. And every day advances are being made in medical care and treatment, which is really the goal of the next hospital project, is to provide state-of-the-art facilities, state-of-the-art treatment opportunities for all the residents of Central Ohio and beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Since you mentioned the announcement last week, just curious the vision with the redevelopment of Cannon Drive, how that additional piece is going to impact the traffic, the neighbors, people coming on and off the highway. It's already going to be adding a lot more folks, as you pointed out, and adding those additional beds in that tower, how all those pieces of the puzzle are envisioned to fit together.
It is, Councilman Sticiano, it is very much a challenge right now, particularly because of the ramp closures to 315 on-ramp and other closures on King Avenue as the Franklin Main project has had work commence on it. One of the things we have turned to is what I'll call remote parking on the West Campus area. So in addition to this project, we've put a traffic hub close to the medical center and provided, if you ever come to Saturday football games, the bus shuttle that runs from West Campus into it's a very similar shuttle that runs into Central Campus. And the concept is going to have to be to bring more people in remotely to accommodate the size and the development of the hospital building.
Yeah, Mr. Reedy, you were elaborating on the parking, and you're just trying to give a little bit of an idea about that. That seems like a monumental task. Is somebody at the university trying to figure out how that is going to take place? And it's not just shuttling people, because your employees need a place to park. And how are they going to handle all that if they got to go park 5 miles away and then be shuttled to work? What time do they have to get to work in the morning or in the evening?
So this is, Councilman Brown, this is an intriguing problem and something that we're working on, and Glenn and his staff are working on all the time, trying to look at and cost out the different options for parking. As we embark on this next building project, it will include new parking garages, because certainly that will be a necessity and a requirement. But we also are aware that we're going to need, a continued additional parking. And again, the focal point of that right now is on West Campus. But those plans are continuing to be under development as we start design for the hospital.
My only concern again is the employees who have to pay to park. They have to pay to park now. Coming over to our state, is that going to continue to be an issue, Glenn, or you can talk about that? I mean, how are you going to handle that?
The priority for parking is and must be patient parking in the area. Employees who can choose to park where they will, and the rates for parking passes vary depending on where they're choosing to park. So, for example, if you choose to park in the West Campus surface lots and take the shuttle into Central Campus, that's a lower parking rate for the individual employee. And so that free market system hopefully will distribute parkers and employees appropriately to what they need.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown, and thank you, Ms. Reedy. I think to your point, Councilman, you have a question? So last week I went to a conversation at OSU where Dr. Drake, along with folks from the architecture school or engineering school, envisioned what a improved Olentangy corridor would look like. I would also add that Olentangy corridor is part of our corridor analysis. So when you're talking about 50,000 students, another 30 or so thousand employees, and the future of Columbus and its growth, we know that parking will be an issue. And so we're going to have to figure out new ways to move people in and out of the region and grow the corridor in different types of transportation modes. And so this is a beginning of an investment there to grow the density along the corridor, but I think more of these type of conversations pertaining specifically to parking and transportation will need to be had, and we appreciate the working relationship with OSU.
Unquestionably, yes.
Thank you. No more questions or comments. I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Ordinance 3086-2017 to amend the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer funds within the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund and to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Complete General Construction Company to provide the payment of construction administration, and inspection services in the connection with the Short North Sid High Street Improvement Phase 2 project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $9,729,913.13 relative to this project, and to declare an emergency. The City of Columbus is currently engaged in the Short North Streetscape project. This ordinance allows the Director of Public Service to enter into contract for the second of 3 phases that the city will manage. This phase stretches along High Street between West Poplar Avenue and West Star Avenue. The work includes replacing the sidewalks and curbs, installing planter beds and street trees, improving lighting within this area, and undergoing all overhead utilities. As chair of both the Public Service and Transportation Committee, but as well as the Small and Minority Business Committee, and having many conversations with a lot of my colleagues, especially Councilmember Liz Brown, as we go through this project, the need for and the appreciation for the scheduling and the conversations with small businesses as we go through the rolling closures of the sidewalk is something that I appreciate on behalf of Public Service, but I look forward to working with all of my colleagues to figure out how we can continue to support the small businesses that are going to benefit on the backside of this project, but will have a tough go at it for the next year or so. And I appreciate my public service for stepping up and working through this project, and certainly development as well. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, I have ordinance 3091-2017 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fees, simple and lesser real estate necessary to timely complete the intersection improvements, Central Avenue and Harrisburg Pike public project, and to declare an emergency. This is the third and final step in that right-of-way acquisition process in Central Avenue and Harrisburg Pike. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And lastly, I have ordinance 3133-2017 to amend the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of cash between projects within the Streets and Highway Bond Fund and to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Complete General Construction for bridge rehabilitation, annual citywide contract 2017 project, and to authorize expenditure of up to $1,667,500 for the bridge rehabilitation annual citywide contract project, and to declare an emergency. This is the city's annual contract to rehab our bridges throughout our city. This contract will pay for the construction and inspection services. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. I would just add that I will be holding my budget hearing for Public Service, Small and Minority Business Committee, and the Neighborhoods Committee this Wednesday, December 6th at 5 p.m. here in Council Chambers. Thank you, President Klein.
Thank you, Chair. Any other business to come before council? We do have several non-agenda speakers. Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn regular meeting number 57? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand adjourned on regular meeting number 57.